Our next guest is Laurabel. Laurabel is a dedicated advocate, communication, marketing, and fund development specialist committed to uplifting BIPOC, marginalized, and underrepresented community. Informed by her own experience, she sheds light on their challenge tirelessly, champion their inclusion in decision-making process. As a proud mother of a young biracial son, Laurabel embodied a profound understanding of the urgent need for a more inclusive society. Currently, Laurabel serves as a host on Rogers TV, Out of the Fog show, where she highlights individuals and a group dedicated fostering inclusivity in Newfoundland and Labrador. She actively collaborates with esteemed organizations such as Anti-Racism Coalition of Newfoundland and Labrador, St. John's, and St. John's Status of Women Council, and the Happy City of St. John's, working to enhance experience of marginalized community in the province. She engaged passionately in campaign advocating for 2S LGBTQ+ representation, political diversity, mental health awareness. As a founder of a race dinner Newfoundland, she boldly confronts racism and white supremacists while empowering white allies to stand in solidarity with BIPOC individuals. Laurabel's unwavering dedication ensures that the voice of marginalized community, not only expression but are also elevated and representative on a very platform. Joining Laurabel today, meet Stephanie Howlett, the fearless and rainbow warrior and the CEO of DiversityNL. She launched this fabulous company in 2020, ready to sprinkle some glitter and shake up the world of diversity and inclusion. With her podcast, Be the Change, she saved up the truth and the bomb and fun insight of being ally, accomplice, and change maker. When she's not coaching CEOs to find their inner unicorn, Stephanie's breaking down barriers and creating awesome workplace where everyone can be their true authentic selves. Plus, she's proud farm mama who loves the strut down nature trails with her wife ruling queerdom with her pup by her side. Get ready, world. Stephanie is here to lead DEIB revolution, and it's been going to be fabulous. Can I get a yes, queen? Please welcome Stephanie and Laurabel to the stage.
Good afternoon. How's everyone doing? Can we get a yes, queen?
That wasn't unified, friends. Let's try that again and on beat this time. Can we get a yes, queen? Better, thank you.
Better. Welcome. How's everyone enjoying your day? How's it going so far? Good? Shout out to the ANC and Jamie and team for having us here. We're delighted to be here to bring with you some dancing? No?
No, absolutely not.
No dancing.
That is not my skill set,
No,
at
nor
least not
mine.
for the stage.
No dancing. That's a hard act to go after.
Yeah, so we're not gonna dance, so sorry if you were hoping for that. That is not our skill set, but we will be fun and entertaining, just not as musically talented as Baraka or Sanchita or Bollywood Jig.
Absolutely. Laurabel and I are here to talk to you about anti-racism. And I think this is what your day has been about, all about anti-racism and how you as young people can do your part in looking at how we all rise up. Can we get a fist pump? Rise up. I don't hear you. Can we get a rise up? Can't hear you. Rise up. One more time. Rise up.
I think that's good. I think they finally got the on beat thing.
They got it. It's good. So as we're getting started, I am going to just read a land acknowledgement. Maybe some of you are familiar with land acknowledgements. So today we're going to acknowledge the land in which we are in Newfoundland and Labrador. So we respectfully acknowledge the territory in which we gather as the ancestral homelands of the Beothuk and the island of Uktumatuk as the ancestral homelands of the Mi'kmaq and Beothuk. We'd also like to recognize the Inuit, Inunatukavut, and Nunatsiavut, and the Inunnatasanan and their ancestors as the original people of Labrador. So today and this afternoon is all about opening our hearts and our minds as we strive for respectful relationships with the First People of our province. We're going to honor the beautiful land together and commit ourselves as being stewards who will respect cultures, traditions, ceremonies for all who call it home this afternoon.
And so for all you folks here, you might be wondering why we do a land acknowledgement. And so over the last 3 days, I had the pleasure of spending my time in an anti-racism training. And we had a chance to think about what a land acknowledgement really means. And so it's important, as most of us here might think of Newfoundland and Labrador as our home. For a lot of us, there are a lot of people who were here long before us who were caretakers of this land, who created something that we now all get to thrive on, live on, and feel a part of. So as we go through the process of this, I'd like for you, on little sheets of paper, wherever you have to land, to write what this land means to you, why it's important that you get to be part of it, and what you hope generations after you get from this land. So write it down on your phones, if you have them, on a piece of paper, but why it's important to acknowledge the land on which we're on.
And if you don't want to write it down, think about it. Think about how important the land is that we're on. So for me, I'm a settler. I'm not a person who identifies as being Indigenous, I'm a settler, but this land is truly important for me as a person, and which gets me into the next part of all about moose hide. And I think all of you were given moose hide in your bags that you have today, in case you don't know what it's about. So Moose Hide Campaign was started out in Alberta by a dad and his daughter. And what happened is they had a murdered, missing Indigenous person in their family, and they wondered, how can I be the change? How can I do something to create something of purpose, to have conversation with people? So what they did is, when they killed the moose of the season, they cut it up into small pieces of moose hide, like I'm wearing today on my jacket. And some of you, I notice, are wearing it on your shirts. So it creates 5 pieces of conversations with people, and the moose hide's considered sacred medicine. So it's something that we wear with honor and something that we share with others. It's all about, gender-based violence that happens in communities and how we each can play a role in that.
So I'm going to first thank our lovely introducer for introducing us. That was a really long bio, but in the short form, hi, my name's Laurabel. I'm a mom, I'm a TV talk show host, and I spend the rest of my time doing anti-racism training for youth and organizations. Fun fact about me, I can't ride a bike, so there's something that all of you can do way better than I can, and that's my little interesting fact.
Fun fact?
Yeah, I can't ride a bike. I'm not going to learn to try. I'm 32, and I think I'm past that stage in life now.
Okay. So fun fact, I'm a fur mama. Does anyone like dogs in the audience? So I have a little Bichon, and she's my little mini-me. She follows me around. She's everywhere, and she's very disappointed she couldn't come today. So my apologies, couldn't bring her. So I do training with organizations, with communities, all about diversity and inclusion, why this is so important. And I got to meet Laurabel about 2 years ago when I had her on my podcast. We talked about everything under the sun, anti-racism, and how we can be better versions of ourselves.
Absolutely. It was fun. Thank you for letting me show up.
Absolutely. So we're going to talk to you a little bit about wishes. And not wishes as in wishes for holidays or things that we get, but wishes on what are things in your school that you wish could be different? What are things that you wish that we can do differently together as a group today? Because you know what, we may be a small group, but we are a mighty group of people that create change when we go back to our schools. So you have little pieces of paper, and I want you to put your wishes on these colorful pieces of paper that you have on your tables. We're going to give you a moment or two, or maybe a minute or two. What are your wishes? What do you wish that you could do, or how things could be differently? What does that look like for you? I wish, start off with that, and fill in the blank. You wish what? What it is, what are some small actions, some things we can do together?
All right, if you're not done, you can keep writing, but we're gonna go on with the presentation. So you have been going through this whole day learning about anti-racism. And I started with this slide because I wanted to show that this is not a checklist thing. You're all currently now, whether you opted to or not, on your journey to being a little bit more anti-racist. So typically people start at the I'm not racist, and that is the bare minimum that I now accept from human existence, is that you are just not a racist individual. And then next, people try to move on to I am an ally in anti-racism. And to me, that's like putting on a hat. So that's today I am a helper, I am actively trying to do better. And then next you move on to an accomplice in anti-racism. And usually when people hear accomplice, they're like, Laurabel, it's not a crime to be anti-racist. What do you mean? And usually the work of anti-racism is usually looked at just like that, like it is a crime, because you're trying to change the status quo. And so when people decide they are an accomplice to anti-racism, it's not usually a decision they make. It's because the actions they've taken means that every time that people in the world see them, they see them as someone who is trying to change the status quo. They see them as someone who actively, without thinking about it, does things and moves in a way that is anti-racist automatically. So usually you start at not racist. You put on your ally hat where you're making a decision to try and do better and be better. And then next on your journey is the accomplice, where you didn't put that hat on, but society put it on for you because the way you move through the world shows that everything you do is anti-racist in a way of being.
Next brings us to warm fuzzies. Anyone ever hear tell of that before? Warm fuzzies? No? So warm fuzzies is really, we're asking you to think about the things you say, the language you use, because all of us use different language when we're talking to our friends or families, people we may work with or volunteer with. So it's looking at what that looks like with us. So it's trying to make the things that we say more inclusive. So we're trying to be those better allies. We're trying to be those accomplices. We're trying to be the kind people that we all are. So truly, we don't want to offend people by saying things that are negative towards them. So it's just thinking before we say things. So what are some steps that we can all do here in being an ally? So some things that we can do start with listening and learning about different groups of people. And today you would have met many different people from different countries, different cultures, different religions, different backgrounds. So it's getting to know people and where they come from. You know, it's amplifying marginalized voices. So it's looking at, giving people voices, doing check-in with them to make sure that they understand what's going on. It's inviting people to have lunch with you, inviting people to be part of your conversation in your groups, because we're all part of cliques, right? Within our schools, there's all different types of cliques. Am I right? What types of cliques do we have? Popular crew, the jocks.
The band kids, the nerds, all of them.
Right? The what?
The Star Wars kids. I can proudly say I was one of the Star Wars kids, and the nerd didn't make it to the band club.
Right? The Swifties. Any Swifties here? Woo!
It was not on this side, and I thought it would be.
Yeah. Definitely. So it's all those things. It's speaking out against racism, which is not easy, by the way. I think I became more of my anti-racist journey when I met Laurabel.
Thanks, I'll take the street cred for that.
No, absolutely. So I'm 49. I know I look 38. I was told that last week, so I'm taking it. So, we need to learn. I was later in life learning, so we're learning, how do we do better? How do we do more? How do we talk about it? How do we understand? How do we ask questions? Because I grew up going to Catholic school, and with the exception of one person, everyone looked fairly similar to me. I had one friend who was Asian, and that was it. So I didn't know, I didn't learn, and our books didn't tell us, about being anti-racist, about all sorts of information that we need to know about being Indigenous, being part of different cultures, and what we can do better. So really today is about learning about different people, different cultures, different backgrounds, and how we do that together. And one part of that is we need to hold people accountable. So if someone says something, that is racist or sexist or homophobic, we do need to have conversations with them about it. We do need to hold them accountable for their language, right? Has anyone here ever been bullied in their life? Has anyone ever been the bully?
Oh, yeah.
It's okay, most of us have in certain situations, right? So the thing is, it's learning to do better, to be kinder to one another, right? Which is not easy. Is it easy? Does kindness matter? So it's learning to be kinder to one another, learning to be patient. Everyone is different. We all have different skills, right? All those different things that we need to learn. And what are some different steps that we can do into being that accomplice?
Well, that's where I come in. So the first step is the one that you are all doing right now, is educating yourself. Because before you can do better, you need to know better. And the only way to know better is to learn. And so education can look very different. It can be in sitting in anti-racism summits like this. In your little folders in there is a list of resources, because not everyone learns from going to things like this. Some people like podcasts, some people like movies, some like music, and some just need influencers to follow on social media, and all of those are okay ways to learn. So it's trying to open up your perspective and get in contact with new information and new experiences and figuring out what works best for you to take in that information. And then we go on to the next step. It's taking responsibility for action. So you all get to decide, yep, I know all the things. What happens now? It's wonderful to know everything, but if you don't do something with it, you might as well not have learned it. So it's taking responsibility and saying, in my little circle, in my little world, with my group of friends, this is one action I'm going to take in order to be anti-racist. So that might mean calling out someone when they say something that they're not supposed to, inviting a new friend to sit at the table, or on your next movie night with your friends, picking a movie that teaches you about a different culture, a different experience, and a different way of life. And then it's challenging systems and structures. So you all sit in school, you all know what your schools are like. What are the systems there? Do you have clubs and associations that let you get to know people's lived experiences, what's going on in their life? If you're studying history, maybe you ask your teacher, can we learn about a different culture's history, where they came from, what goes on? Because there's more accessible to us than we have available that we know about. And then it's on reflecting and committing to growth. This is not going to be something that changes for all of you in one day. It's knowing that each day that you exist, you get to know more, do better, and committing to looking back and being like, oh, I started on the bottom where I knew nothing about no one, and I'm a little bit better today. I know a little bit more about the person beside me or the person across the street from me, and I want to continue to grow and do better.
So to look a little bit about the barriers to creating safer spaces, and I call it a safer space because, you know, for me, my safer space is within my home. I'm part of the queer community, and I use that word because I'm trying to make it into a positive space for 2S LGBTQ persons. You know, yesterday was Trans Day of Remembrance, so looking at all the people who, you know, had violence against them, and so it's looking at how we celebrate people. So, you know, how do we do this, you know, with one another, you know, as young people, as adults, you know, and all these different things in between. So I find for me as a person, sometimes fear is what holds me back from doing the things I want to do. Anyone else find fear holds them back? Put up your hands. Yeah, some of us find that fears does hold us back. So, and not knowing how to support a peer that's being discriminated against. Like, what words do I say to be helpful? How can I do that? And what are some of those things? And we're going to work on that in a second. And the other thing is, you know, another barrier is if I speak up, am I going to be iced out? You know, am I going to be one that someone's going to say something about? Are they going to bully me or harass me or call me an unfair name, poke fun at me, or some of those things?
And so one of the really important things with creating safer spaces is you've all sat through those anti-bullying campaigns, right? Where they teach you what a bully is, and they teach you what a victim is, and they teach you what a bystander is. And if you're struggling with any of these things, what I want for you to imagine for a second is when you're sitting through those campaigns, you know what the bully does, and you know how the victim feels. The role we all play as bystanders is helping to create space and safety for the person that's being bullied. So if you didn't do anything to help, were you part of the problem or part of the solution? So, and when you look at yourself in that your journey to create safer spaces and to be more anti-racist, whenever you're scared of stepping in or calling someone out, just remember it in simple terms as bullying. Am I part of the problem or am I part of the solution?
So this afternoon is all about how can we be part of the solution. So when you go back to your schools, bringing back some solutions, bringing back some conversations that we can have. So how do you think we can create these safer spaces? What are your thoughts? How can we do that? I'm gonna pop down because I can. Anyone? How can we create safer space?
The echo.
Yep.
Okay, hold on.
I can't go
If
past
you
that.
have an answer, yeah, you can come up
Yeah.
to the mic.
You could include more people.
Include more people, fantastic. What else can we do? Hey,
Have more like alliances in schools to make more people feel safe.
absolutely. So more alliances in schools to make people feel safe. Hey,
If we see someone getting bullied, we shouldn't like just watch. We should tell a trusted adult or help them.
so if we see someone bullied, tell an adult or step in to try to help them. Absolutely. Hi.
You can come up and join the line and find Steph.
Creating groups that like speak against these things that we don't want to happen.
We could work on listening to people's problems instead of speaking for people's problems instead.
Talk to more people about it.
We could sort of adapt ourselves to fit around with new people and new cultures and different people instead of just like having them adapt to us.
Absolutely.
Not like normalize things, like not normalize bullying, like not just like watching it, you know? Yeah.
Recommend safe sources for the victim. Encourage people to come to things like this.
Absolutely.
We can start by helping and supporting the people who are being bullied and discriminated against, because most bullies do this to get attention. And if we do not give them the attention and actually help the people who are being discriminated against, I think the bullies would stop and the bullying would stop all across our schools. Thank you.
That's a really good answer.
I think that bullies are also victims in their own way, because bad behavior is not like produced out of a child, it's mostly the parents.
Very
So
important.
maybe they're learning stuff at home that's not so good. Hey,
We can like not discriminate people for how like their race is, what gender they are, or like how they identify.
hi. It's okay.
Maybe if there's like someone by themselves, you could probably ask them if they want to be friends or something.
Making friends. Hi.
We need to understand the problem before we can figure out the solution for like individual situations. So like one problem could be like the color of who they are. Another problem could be the situation of the bully's parents or the bully themselves, because not every racism situation is created the same.
Absolutely.
Hi.
Provide resources in like student council, guidance counselors, and so for school.
Start conversation and just create a space for conversation to happen.
Stand up for people who's getting bullied.
Stand up for folks who are getting bullied. Thank you. Anyone else? Other things? Fantastic.
Those were some really great answers. Thanks, folks.
Lots of brave people.
Would you like to step up?
I'm good. Step, thank you. I know.
You got this.
Building it. So I want us just to take a moment and be intentional, because we're saying all the right things and we need to put these things into action, right? We need to create this brave space. So let's just take a moment of silence to think about being intentional around these things, because we don't always take time to be intentional and to create conversations like this, which are fantastic. Thanks to everyone that came up and gave us some words of wisdom, because I think this is, you know, the way we go forward is through all your voices. And all of you have voices today. You know, I recognize that Believe it or not, I'm an introvert, despite the fact I'm up on stages all the time, and maybe some of you are as well. So, you can do this work. It doesn't come easy, but I think it's something that we can work on together. So let's just take a moment.
And while you're doing that, Jamie, can we get flip chart for them? Thank you. Okay, so the next activities come with prizes, so you guys get ready. There are things that are going out at the end of this.
And these are good.
I want to win these.
So the next little piece we're going to do is all about interrupters. How do we become interrupters? Because I think we all have the space to be an interrupter. So interrupters are people who take the courage and have the bravery to speak up when things are being said. So some things that we can say are, that's not okay with me, that conversation or those words that you just said, or maybe that's not funny, that joke you said.
Absolutely. Sometimes it's fun to ask people questions to explain why they think the things they did. So help me understand your thinking is one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you can follow that up with why. And you keep asking why until they're willing to explain where the thought comes from. There's another of what you said is just harmful. So letting people know before you even explain it that this isn't okay, this isn't safe to say things like that in this area. And then you follow that up with, we don't say things like that here.
Absolutely. So these are all things that when someone says something and it strikes you in the stomach and you're like, it's not sitting well with me, these are the things that we can say. And my favorite is help me understand your thinking, because now we're getting the person to think about what they just said, because sometimes we say things without even thinking about how it's going to impact people. So this is a cold prickle here, right? So cold prickles is when we say things that make people feel bad, that are hurtful. So I think we've probably all been people who have not been the warm fuzzies. Sometimes we've been people who are the cold prickles. We make people feel bad or sad by saying the words that we do. So it's all about creating actions that go further than that. So this is what I'm going to say to all of us here today. We need to try to don't be the cold prickle, but be the warm fuzzy. Okay, so that's the takeaway. Don't be a cold prickle, be a warm fuzzy. So it's all about being warm fuzzies. How do we be warm fuzzies together, right? That's our action for this afternoon, being warm fuzzies.
Yes. So if you have a ton of people at your table, if you want to hop over to at least to fill up those empty tables as well, because you need room to write at your table. So let's have about 5 or 6 of you at a table, no more than that. 4 at a table, sorry, Jamie tells me 4 at a table. So 4 at each table, so help fill up those other tables. Also use this as an opportunity to make a new friend. Talk to someone you haven't talked to yet. Get a new idea.
And we have prizes.
So yeah, if you make new friends and you get new ideas, you might just win a prize today. And you can write in whatever language that you want, whatever is easiest for you.
So our free tables are over this way, so we want some people to move.
I would like to see parts of this room migrate that way. If you have your group of 4, we're going to introduce something super dorky that I really love called the Quiet Coyote. So if you have your group of 4, Quiet Coyote, up in the air so I know there's a group of 4. Okay, how many Quiet Coyotes? All right, so if you have your group of 4 and you have your piece of paper, we're ready? If you have your group of 4 and you have your piece of paper, can you say yes? Okay, that was a very guttural yes, and I'll take that as well. Okay, so before we get to what you're using your piece of paper for, we have one more question for you. Stephanie?
So what is your role in creating safer spaces through anti-racism? What's your role? What does that look like? What do you think your role is?
Steph's going back into the audience for
Come
this.
down. What's your role?
You can send one person up to answer Steph. Yeah?
What? One person per table. What's your role?
Okay.
Let's go. Quick. What's your role?
Send your person.
I'm an advocate.
Advocates, yes.
Being the one who prevents things from this even forming in the mind.
Okay.
To educate. Coordinator of events related to multicultural such.
Those are good.
Telling them it is a safe space.
Awesome.
To be the role model.
Wicked.
To make online posts about like ending racism and stuff.
Wicked.
I'm an ally.
Okay.
Yeah, to share experiences.
Wicked.
To create alliances.
Wicked.
To call someone out when they say something derogatory.
Way to go.
To share different stories to make them feel like safe and not odd or like anything else.
To make people feel safer.
Wicked.
Make everyone feel safe and welcome in this space or society.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Anyone else? Fantastic, girls. How about teachers? Who are the teachers in the room?
Teachers, what's your role in creating anti-racist spaces?
Teachers in the room, let me see some hands.
Adults.
Teachers, adults, come forward, teachers.
We would love to hear what our
talk
teachers...
to me. If not, I'll make you sing. Come on. Teachers in the room.
Steph will find you.
Teachers in the room. I can tell a teacher a mile away. Attending anti-racism summits.
Creating that safe space for the kids to be able to share with you what's happening in their world.
Creating a safe space so you all can come forward and talk to the teachers about what's going on, eh? Are you a teacher? You're a little young.
Learning to listen and just be a good listener before reacting.
Absolutely, good listeners amongst us.
Noticing the small things before they escalate.
For sure.
Ooh,
Any
that's
other
a good
teachers
one.
back here? I'm not sure if this, I can't go past the speaker.
Hosting multicultural fairs at school.
Hosting multicultural fairs, absolutely. Any other teachers right here?
Wicked. All right.
Yeah?
All right, we'll give Steph a second to come back up with the clicker, and then we're going to move on to our activity. And this is where the prizes come in handy. Okay. So on your piece of paper, you are now going to create your own anti-racism cloud. So your cloud is going to be made up of resources that you can find to help you become more anti-racist, your community, places and spaces you find yourselves in where you might be called on to be anti-racist, actions you can take individually or as a group to be more anti-racist, and support. So the people in your life and in your community that you can rely on to support you when you encounter racism. Now, you have resources in your toolkit, but we want you to think really broad about your own lives. So when I was building my own anti-racism cloud, my favorite resources were, because I'm a reader and I really love to read, were books and audiobooks to teach me about what racism looked like in the different ways it shows up for people. My community, because I was a student too, oh so long ago, but I was also in cadets, so my community were my school, my cadets, and in my friendship circle. My actions were to be an interrupter. When I saw something that felt like a cold prickly, I said no. I said this wasn't cool, this wasn't okay, you can't do this around me. And my support system were my family and the adults that I knew I could count on when things got really awkward or uncomfortable, or I thought things were way too big for me to handle on my own. So think about that, and you can use your sticky notes to put them on there, you can write them on, but at the end, we're gonna put them all on the wall because you're all gonna get a chance to look at what other people think about their resources in their community and see what you can implement in your own schools and your own spaces. So get really creative, don't let your imagination be the end of it, but think about what exists in your world that can help you create your own anti-racism cloud.
So you are in the middle of this. So you're in the middle of the cloud. This is you as a person, okay? So let's start drawing, let's start writing, whatever language you would like to use, it's fine, right? You own it, this is yours. Be as creative as you can.